Hey everyone, this is Beanley from Waifu Wars. Today I'll be introducing to you guys to a new series called A Guide to Important Weiss Effects. The purpose of this guide is to allow players to understand powerful and popular effects in Weiss Schwarz. So I'll be giving you the history of these effects, like where they originated, the progression of these effects, like how they differ, and the overall impact of these type of effects in general. So today's theme is utility. So what better way to start off this guide with other than the Azusa Akatsuki effect? This effect originated in 2014 from the Idolmasters movie booster with Azusa. The general effect for these type of cards is discard a card from hand to waiting room. When it's placed from hand to stage, you may pay cost. If so, look at up to the top 4 cards from the top of your library and search for up to one X character, reveal it, put it to your hand, and put the rest into the waiting room. So basically what this effect does is you're hand fixing by discarding a card that you don't need and adding a card from the top 4, adding a character card from those top 4 cards of your deck. You're getting essentially a free brainstorm because you can mill up to 4 cards, and it says up to, so you don't have to mill 4. You can stop at 2 or 3, and this is good because in some bad situations, like say you have 4 climaxes left in your deck, and those are the only 4 cards left in your library. You play Azusa, you discard a card, and you reveal those top 4 cards, and since they're all climaxes, you don't have a valid search target to grab a card to your hand, but what you do allow yourself to do is you're putting those cards into your waiting room, and since the way that this effect is worded is that those climaxes will actually go into refresh, so you'll be able to attack that turn, and it's better than not attacking because you want to generate stock in Weiss Schwarz. This effect has moved to also known as the Akatsuki effect. I guess it's because Kantai can be seen as aggressive, and Akatsuki grabs fleet girls. And what makes Akatsuki good is that just like Azusa, most of your characters are going to be fleet girls or music trait. And Akatsuki also feels for the Hibiki Verni combo, and the popular choice for Kantai is to run anti-heal for most builds, and some builds don't even run Brainstormers, so Akatsuki is like a 4 for certain Kantai decks. Next we're going to Sakura. Sakura deviates from these 2 effects because Sakura grabs for green character cards, while these grabs for traits. Sakura resides in the Rider.deck builds, and this is good because you want to grab your 0-0 Rider Trends back rows to fill your Global 1K and your anti-bomb abilities to your Rider cards, and you also potentially can, like, say, get your 1-1 Rider walls into your waiting room for you to be able to clock bond into. And as it stands now, Kume is currently the only Akatsuki effect on the restricted list, but her effect is different from these 3 Akatsuki effects, because when she gets played from hand to stage, you don't discard a card. You still get the standard. You can look at up to the top 4 cards from the top of your library and search up to 1 card, but instead of it being a character, it's now a climax with Kume. And this is very strong because the way Weiss is white now is level 1 combos and level 3 combos are very powerful and are very important in getting off for decks. So, for example, with Kume, you can get like your level 1 Manami search combo off, or prior to the ban list, you grab the Trad Primus search combo off for your level 1 game. And then obviously this fills for your level 3 combos. And even with Kume, even if you do reveal a climax, you still don't have to add it to hand. You can just still get that free mill for it, which is always a good ability to have, in my opinion. The baseline for the baseline price for these effects you'll see is 1980 yen, which is equivalent to $20 for US money, which is pretty pricey, but it is a strong effect. This effect can be seen as unfair to people who play older builds because you are speeding through your deck with this effect, and since older builds are not going to be able to have this type of effect, I mean, some older builds do have like, say, like a 1-0 event that you can add a character or whatever, or it's a character that you can sacrifice and pay 1 stock to get this type of effect. But what makes these cards so good is that you can play these cards, the Azusa Akatsuki effect cards, at level 0, and start milling through your deck and hand fixing, and ultimately getting a stock because they still are level 0 cards regardless that can attack. Next, we're going to the Riki effect. The Riki effect actually originated in 2011 with Akane from Rewrite. So what the general effect for these type of cards is: you pay 1, put the top card of your library in your clock. When it's placed from hand to stage, you may pay cost. If so, search your library for up to a level 1 or lower character, reveal it, put it in your hand, and shuffle your library. So what makes this effect so good is that you're essentially just replacing your Riki that you just placed. And the options are just are not really endless, but you have a lot of options. So you can grab like your Brainstormers or your level 1 or lower bombs, or you can grab like your level 1 Shimakaze clones, or your level 1 costless backups, like, or your level 1 walls, or pretty much, yeah, you get the drift. The hitting yourself for 1 damage can throw some people off, but in this state of Weiss, you actually kind of want to get to level 1 if you're running, say, like a level 1 plus combo, because you want to get easy kills with like on reverse effects. Or even if your cards aren't on reverse, it's still nice to just start swinging in for damage and getting your pluses, and being able to set up before your opponent is always nice. So it's known as the Riki effect because I guess Little Busters is a pretty strong set, and Riki is just Riki. I guess you can call it the Akane effect, but most people will call it the Riki effect. This effect deviates, as you can see with Kantai Collection. You have Clumsy Girl Inazuma, or Inazuma is the correct way. Inazuma effect is, instead of on play, is when she gets sent to a waiting room, you can pay the cost, which is pay 1 and hit yourself for 1 to switch for a level 1 or lower character. This isn't as good as Riki because Riki is like on play, you get that effect, while this you have to either wait for your Inazuma to be sent to the waiting room, or you can play over Inazuma with another character if you're that desperate to, like, say, get to level 1 or level 3, because there are times when I play Kantai Collection and I want to get to level 3 before my opponent, and I know that like I can kill them with my level 3s, and I have enough stock to level myself up. And then you have the Monogatari's version, which is the Mayoi, and she's on play Riki, but she, I guess you can kind of say power creep. It's a Riki clone, but it also comes with another effect where when Mayoi this card side attacks, you can give another character 1500. I think they have to be strange, or they don't have to be strange, but regardless, she gets another effect besides being a Riki clone, and that's also seen with Cinderella Girls with the Mirai Akagi, where when Mirai Akagi attacks, you give another character 500. The standard profile for these, the standard price for these effects is 980 yen, but with newer sets, I guess you could kind of say power creep, is that, for example, Osamatsu has a Riki clone, but for yellow characters, and it is going for 50 cents, or 50 yen, compared to 980 yen. And it is also an uncommon, while Riki is a rare. So you can see how Weiss has slowly shifted in terms of like how power has changed with even just rarities. Moving onward, we have plus Brainstormers. Brainstorming is a pretty strong mechanic in Weiss Schwarz, and we'll get to it shortly, but the origin of Brainstormers, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of variations for early search plus Brainstormers, but the one I can find for plus salvage Brainstormer is in 2009 with King of Fighters for this ninja guy. So the general profile for Brainstormers in general is you pay 1 and you rest either itself or you rest 2 characters, and you flip over the top 4 cards of your library and put them into your waiting room for each climax revealed this way. In this case, if it's a salvage Brainstormer, you choose up to 1 character in your waiting room and return it to your hand. So if it's a search Brainstormer, then you search from your deck, and then if it's a clock Brainstormer, then you take a card from your clock and you replace the top card of your library and place it into your clock. So obviously, if you hit multiple climaxes, you get multiple instances of plussing with these Brainstormers. Personally, I prefer plus salvage Brainstormers because, from my experiences at least, I have cards where they're either stuck in my clock or library. They're stuck in my clock or stock, and then I'll need them on later in the game. So I'll just hit a salvage Brainstormer and hit a climax, and I'll be able to get those cards back. And also, just in general, I think, in my opinion, the waiting room, you have more options. From my experience at least, you have more options with picking what cards you need as the game progresses. Obviously, it's not going to be as good when you post refresh, but even if you do hit a climax post refresh with a plus salvage Brainstormer, there's a good chance you'll still have some type of valid target to get something off from the waiting room. As time progresses, as you can see, there's Inori from the Guilty Crown Comeback campaign. She's also a plus salvage Brainstorm rest itself. But what makes her also good is that she comes with Global 500 to funeral/parlor characters. So ideally, if you're playing Guilty Crown early game, you want to have 2 of these in your back row, so you can boost up your 1/0 guy walls, and then you can also just constantly salvage the cards that you need with the 2 Inoris in the back row, since they are just rest itself. So you can see how much the game has shifted in terms of like giving abilities to Brainstormers, because I'm assuming back then they thought Brainstormers were just good as just being a Brainstormer without any other abilities. And even newer cards, there still are cards where it's just like a standard Brainstormer and no other ability, which is fine, because like I said, Brainstormers are it's a good effect in general to have. There are situations where you're out of climaxes, and you just want to constantly brainstorm, so you can just take out the damage that's left in your deck, and you want to go quick to a refresh. And moving over to the more modern Brainstorm, this is a unique Brainstorm. It's a search Brainstorm. I put this in this category with these other 2 because this is the only Brainstormer that mills 5. Its first ability is it gives 1k to the middle to all Ren, Karen, and Now characters. And it's static, so it's on either player's turn. And you can pay 1, rest 2 characters, and then she mills 5 instead of the standard 4. And if you hit a Transient Pulse or a Tried Premise climax, then you're able to search for 1 music character. Obviously, if you're playing TP, then you you want to be running those two climax combos anyways, so it's not really a detriment if you're playing TP. And from my experience, at least with just playing any Brainstormers, there are times where I'll reveal 4 and there's no climax, and look at the next card is a Brainstormer, so is a climax. I mean, so the mill 5 is actually pretty strong, especially with TP, because TP can actually refresh pretty fast, and you by level 2 you want to like early drop your level 3 Rand walls that heals. So Brainstormers are very good to have in any set that allows it, unless you're Evangelion. Some decks like Persona that run like the Yukiko build, like you have to brainstorm every single turn pretty much to generate some type of plus, because with older sets, it's really hard to generate plus compared to newer sets with like level 1 plus combos or whatever. So yeah, plus Brainstormers are definitely worth having. The next cards that we're going to be going over are the level 3 Cantrips. Essentially, these cards replace themselves, so the general effect is when this is placed from hand to stage, draw up to X cards or add X cards. I use these for examples because they're all cantrippers, but they're different in their own way compared to the other examples. So we'll go with Yami. She's a standard draw 2, discard 1 cantrip. This is really good for like the Tularu deck because you can grab another Yami clone and repeat the process. You can grab your climax combo that you need, Kind Time. You can grab the Darkness Plan, the money counter for Tularu. You can also grab, pretty much if you want to cantrip even more, you can grab the level 3 Maya if you draw into it, and then use that effect. And speaking of Maya's effect, we have the level 3 Amity early drop. If the KO level 0 Amity is in your clock, she gets -1 level while in hand. And her effect is for every Puyo character that's on the field, when it's placed from hand to stage, you look at up to X cards from the top of your deck, and you add 1 and put the rest of the cards into your reading room. So the way it's worded again is that it's not character restricted as well, so you can add like a climax, or if you run events in Puyo, but I don't. But and also, you don't have to show your opponent what cards you grab with this type of effect as well. Next, we're going to the early play Kosaki. You have 2 more pendants. In your memory, she gets -1 level, and when she's placed from hand to stage, you search for up to 1 key character from your deck. So a popular play with Metakoi is by level 2, you want to have your pendants in your memory, at least 2 pendants, and you loop into another Kosaki, and then grab whatever you need. Probably the level 3 Marika, or any other key character. But yeah, it's a very strong effect as well. And then finally, we have a salvage cantrip. This run is also an early play. If you have another copy of this card and the level 1 archer in your level zone, she gets -1 level while in hand, and when she's placed from hand to stage, you salvage 1 character. So again, you can loop into another for victory Ren, and you can just have a whole field of for victory Rens at level 3, or just grab any other character in your waiting room. So cantrips are good, especially in this metagame format of Weiss Schwarz right now, because you want to have a hand. You want to have something to replace itself. Especially in Weiss, you don't want to have no cards in your hand, because it is a horrible feeling. No matter what card game you're playing, it is a horrible feeling to top deck. Especially in Weiss Schwarz though, like if you only have 1 card, if you draw 1 card and it's the only card in your hand, you're going to have to clock it to draw more cards in your hand, assuming that you want more cards in your hand. And it's always a bad feeling to just top deck in general. Next is we have an effect that's similar to cantripping, but instead of being able to replace yourself, you're getting a really good hand fixing instead. So this is known as the digging effect. We have Resonating Diva Hatsune Sweet Stancy Churamatsu, and Power Smile Rin. One is an early drop, one is a clock kicker, and one is a restander that's on the restricted list. What these all share in common, however, is they have this profile where when it's placed from hand to stage, you drop the 2 cards, you discard 2 cards, and you place up to 1 card from the top of your deck into stock. So it essentially makes these level 3s into a 3-1 after paying them out. So say if you're in an awkward position of having 3 stock, generating that blind stock allows you to play another level 3 that's in your hand. With the Churamatsu, Osamatsu has a rest counter that you can, so when you play the Churamatsu, you're potentially being able to draw the rest counter that you can save for your later game if you manage to survive next turn. With Power Smile Ren, you need the climax in order to restand the Primus climax, and her climax is also a stock soul. So with this ability that she already has, her effect is she's pretty much a 3-0 after being played, but obviously it's a very strong effect, especially for this card. But digging through your deck is always a good thing, because especially if you're low on climaxes, because you want to be able to refresh and potentially cancel again. So overall, digging is a very good effect. Finally, we have the Mami Sayaka effect. I'm not sure if there is a card prior with this type of similar profile, but I'll just go by the more popular effect this is known as. So this card appeared in Magica Madoka in 2012. And what this card specifically does, Sayaka Admiration for Mami, is when she's placed from hand to stage, you look at the top card and you put it either at the top or bottom. So in MTG terms, it's also known as scrying. And when this card attacks, you reveal the top card. If it's a magic trait character, you can add it to your hand and discard a card. So there is a lot of utility you can do with this. So on play, if you reveal a card, you can decide if you want to keep it at the top or bottom. This has many applications where you can know what you're about to trigger if you want to go into attack phase. So you know if you want to like front or if you want to side, and you know that you're going to trigger a soul damage. If you happen to reveal a climax, you know that you'll be able to brainstorm and generate the plus that you need. While the second effect, being able to hand fix on attack, is very nice, because even if it's a card that you don't want, you can still add it to your hand and discard a card, and it's just like one less, you could technically say like one less damage in your deck, and or just even if it's a good card, you add it to your hand and just get rid of a crappy card that you don't need. So yeah, this effect is pretty much one of my favorite effects in Weiss. Just being able to have to be able to fix your hand a bit, and having that knowledge in Weiss Schwarz is nice. Is knowing what you're going to trigger or knowing what to do next is always a advantage in Weiss Schwarz, I think. Next effect is one of my favorite girls in Girlfriend Beta is Fumiya Murakami, Strong Day of Wind. She's sort of similar to Mami and Sayaka, but instead on play, she has 2 effects. She still has the scry effect like Mami and Sayaka, where you look at the top card and put it either at the top or bottom. But she gets that immediate effect where when you reveal the top card, if it's, in this case, if it's a girl trait, you add it to your hand and you discard a card. Some of these effects are mandatory, where like you have to add them, so keep that in mind. This is not quite as good as Mami and Sayaka in the sense where if Mami and Sayaka happen to live, the following turn you can repeat the effect again. But since the these cards have relatively low attack. It's kind of like expected for them to die, but who knows? You can always potentially live. But what makes this card really good, though, is that you have two immediate instances of controlling. Especially with Girlfriend Beta, where brainstorming is kind of really like you kind of want to brainstorm with Girlfriend Beta for the red-blue build, at least red-blue or yellow build, red-blue splash yellow, so you can get your Kokomis confirmed captures as soon as possible. But yeah, you get the immediate effect, but it's still a really good card in general to have. And the modern version, I guess the more recent up-to-date version, is Project Crone Arisu from Cinderella Girls 2. She has her abilities are different, where like the first effect is still you're being able to hand fix. You reveal the top card if it's a music trait character you add to your hand and you discard a card. But her second effect is different, where you discard a card and you draw a card. And the beauty behind all these cards, well, besides, I guess, Mami Sayaka, for the first two effects is that, these two cards is that you get to decide the order of these abilities, since they're both auto abilities for the Fumio and the Arisu. So sometimes you want to discard a card and draw a card, or sometimes you want to look at the top card and put it at the top or bottom. So it's really up to you as the player. That's why I like about this effect is also it kind of fits to like your preference of how you want to play these type of effects, which is nice. In some situations, you want to do something different, I think, in my opinion. But yeah, this is pretty much the whole utility guide for Weiss Schwarz. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe to Waifu Wars.